right. Good Saturday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I am your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson. Let's go in and talk about the weather for your Saturday evening going into your future. First off, what we always do before we go on and start, if you have not hit the like button or the subscribe button yet, make sure you go in and do so. We right now have four people watching, and we only have 3 likes right now, so go on and hit the like button if you have not already. Also, hit the subscribe button. We have 585 subscribers. We are 15 away from that main goal of 600 subscribers. So let's go on and get there as well. And then hit the share button. Share with all the people that you know. It could be on Facebook. It could be on Instagram. It could be on even Twitter. It doesn't matter. Just go in and share it out somewhere. And also, what are we going to talk about tonight? So obviously we will talk about the current condition that's going. We also will talk about our weather for tonight, and then also going into tomorrow, and then also we will also talk about the weather for our future, and then some other stuff that we may touch up on. Obviously the tropics will be something that we definitely touch up on. We also will talk about most likely we will talk about the fog that will continue as we move through tonight, possibly into tomorrow morning, and then we're going to talk about some flood risk that could potentially go through as we go through the next 5 days or so. But let's go on first and talk about our current condition. Right now, we do in fact have some rainfall going on throughout the entire state of South Carolina, down here near Ridgeland, South Carolina, also over here near Furman, Gillisonville, also near Sheldon and Blountville. Those are the places where we have some rainfall right now. Barnwell also has some rainfall as we speak, and then some rainfalls over here just to the south of Cottageville and just to the east of Walterboro. And then as you go in and scroll our way out, see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., we have rainfall that goes on all the way down into Florida, down to Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, going to the Four Corners region, also Nevada, Oregon, California, even Minnesota. Michigan's also one of those places. Same thing with Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, West Virginia. And then up here in the Northeast, nice and dry up there. Now for our cloud cover, we do have some heavy cloud cover going on, especially inside the low country going to the PD. The Grand Strand also has some of that cloud cover as well. Yes, you do have some clear spots, but it's mostly cloudy. Now for the upstate, going into the northern Midlands, you actually do have some clear skies out there. You do have some light clouds there, but mostly clear over there. Even along that South Carolina-Georgia border, we do have some cloud cover over there. Now for our cloud cover for the future. You can see that as we go in and push this forward, cloud cover will indeed kind of go down a little bit. As you finish this and even push it forward even more as you go into tomorrow morning. Cloud cover will kind of make its way more to the east, and this is pretty much the trend. The cloud cover is moving more and more to the east, and then once we get into tomorrow afternoon, it seems to look like that we will be mostly cloudy, if not pretty much like 90-95% clouds as we go into tomorrow afternoon. Now for our current temperature, 71 in Columbia as well as 72 in Orangeburg, 73 in Somerville as well as 72 in Georgetown, 74 in Murrells Inlet and 74 in Myrtle Beach, 71 in Conway and 72 in Florence and Bennettsville. We also do have around 74 in Charleston and 73 in Lawrence, 72 in Greenville and 73 in Spartanburg, 71 in Rock Hill and Gaffney, 73 in York and Clemson. Low temperatures for tonight, you have around 65 in Greenville, 64 in Spartanburg, as well as 64 in Rock Hill, 66 in Columbia, as well as 64 in Walterboro. Barnwell is included in there, Aiken as well, Sumter, Florence, all 64. 65 in Moncks Corner, 69 in Charleston, and 67 in Myrtle Beach. We also have around 66 in Georgetown and 71 in Hilton Head Island. Rainfall for tonight going into tomorrow. Not looking like much. Things can change, obviously, if a thunderstorm gets going. But for now, it's looking like that we're not going to get too much more rainfall just as we move through the next 24 hours. Obviously, the rainfall that's ongoing right now doesn't seem to really be counted in this as much, obviously, because this is happening at 9:05, and this was updated at 5 o'clock. So obviously, they were not predicting this exact storm or possible storm that's going through Ridgeland, Gillisonville, Blountville, the area that we were just talking about. That storm was not exactly predicted, so that is why That area of rainfall is not included on this map right now. But for the most part, it's not looking like much. Some place may even get a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch as well, so it's possible. We'll talk about the models later. We'll look at all that stuff. But first, what about the crazy score? We are at a 17 for tonight. 17 for tonight. We actually have... we're not going live tonight, obviously, but we're inside the mild category. Makes sense. We talked about the threat for some fog. Fog is possible as you move through tonight going into tomorrow. I mean, it's been like that for a little bit now. It's relatively isolated. You know, they're not really hounding it as much as they have been, but I mean, it's a possibility. It's a possibility, not too high though. As you go into even more into tonight's stable atmosphere, as we go through tonight, mostly dry, and then patchy fog is the only thing. That's pretty much the only thing that I have for tonight, and that could potentially impact this crazy score. Now, what about the SPC outlook? This was actually last updated around a couple hours ago. They now just updated the new one right now. So here's the new one. New one, it adds that little thunderstorm risk where that little potential thunderstorm is going on right now down there inside of the western low country. It includes western Charleston County all the way into the South Carolina-Georgia borderline. But if a shower, which it is, going on down there, it has the potential still to be producing some thunder. Now tomorrow, we do in fact have another thunderstorm risk, but it's up there for the far upstate. Everyone else does not have to worry about a thunderstorm. Monday, same thing, but it gets more closer to the Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson area. Excessive rainfall. We actually do have a chance for some excessive rainfall as we move to the next 5 days. Actually, it is day 5, so nothing for tonight, nothing for tomorrow, nothing for Monday or Tuesday, but Wednesday. An isolated risk of some flash flooding is possible over there inside of the very far upstate. Again, this is on Wednesday that we have this chance for some isolated flash flooding up there. Now, that's for like the far, far upstate, so that's from Long Creek up here near Fork Mountain, and then also just to the west of Rocky Bottom. But other than that, that's it. That could expand or it could go away. Still 5 days out, so things can change. Now, what about the models? We're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Obviously, this is what was going on. Now it's kind of gone away. At least most of it has. And by the time we get later into tonight, it's going to be mostly dry. All that shower, thunderstorm activity is going to go away. We're not going to be watching for any more activity, even at 1 o'clock p.m. Looking good. As we go through to around 2, 3, all the way to 7 o'clock p.m., you can see that we are still not receiving too much rainfall. Now, as you get to around 8, 9, 10 p.m., I'm looking at the chance for a little, isolated to scattered shower activity inside of the eastern part of South Carolina over there in Horry County. Maybe even the upstate getting in on some of that rainfall tomorrow night, 9 o'clock p.m. when I go live. But again, it's not looking like anything too bad, and that's where that thunderstorm risk potentially could come from as well. So that's one thing to look out for there. Past that, as we go all the way into September the 22nd, which is that Monday, it's looking like that things start off dry there as well. Now, what about even further into the future? Even further, as you go on and push this forward, you can see that we do have some rainfall that will push through. We have some rainfall that will push through, especially as we go through the 23rd, the 24th, as that coastal activity there. As you get to the 24th and the 25th, looking for some rainfall up in the upstate, moving into the Midlands, even on the 26th as well. You have a low pressure here, and this is, again, right here, our cold front. We were just talking about this cold front and the chance for potentially some severe weather. But if you go even into the dew points, you can see all of that dry air. And one thing that I said about this cold front, and I said I was going to be a bit interesting in how it could shake things up, is because it brings a lot of dry air. It does. It brings a lot of dry air. But it does not bring much cool air. Like you can see the cool air. But then as soon as it gets to South Carolina, the warm air just prevails. And so it's going to be warm but dry. And warm and dry, obviously, that creates, fire concerns. But will this create fire concerns? Right now, if I even go to, which, let me see, I don't think they have humidity on here. Yes, they do, actually. I mean, you can see how dry it is. You can see easily how dry it is and how dry it can be just as that cold front moves past us. but we're still going to have the high temperatures up in the 90s. So dry, but hot. So at least it's not muggy. At least I can say that. Even further into the future, though, as that cold front passes us, semi-cold front-ish, things dry off a lot more. Kind of expected. We still might have some more isolated shower activity, maybe the 30th and October the 1st. But again, I'm not seeing anything too bad. Once we get to October the 3rd, we really can't go in depth further than that, just because it's way too far out. 300 hours is way too far out. But it seems like, for the most part, that it's just going to bring maybe some rainfall as we go more into October. But I'm not really seeing anything in terms of a huge storm system. Not really seeing anything in terms of a huge storm system at all. So that's pretty much it for our future. As I'm not really seeing too much of anything else. I will say, though, if you go on and look at, which I think I can go on and do this real quick. That's not what I want. This right here, you can see over here, this is, I believe, this is the area that we're watching for inside the tropics. And we're about to talk about the tropics soon, but you can see these two areas. Gabrielle is still over here. Gabrielle actually has now intensified. It's now a 65-mile-per-hour storm. It's forecast to become a hurricane by Sunday and pass east of Bermuda Sunday night and Monday. While the chances of impacts are decreasing for Bermuda, interest on Bermuda should continue to monitor Gabrielle's forecast, since some wind and rainfall impacts are still possible. Swells generated by Gabrielle are beginning to reach Bermuda and will build throughout the weekend. These swells also are expected to reach the coast of the United States from North Carolina north along the coast of Atlantic Canada late this weekend into early next week. These swells are likely to cause life-threatening surf and rip current conditions. So from North Carolina all the way up into Atlantic Canada, the chance for rip currents is there. The chance for surf is also there. You can kind of see it on this map right now. Go through tonight. You can kind of see it already setting up there inside of North Carolina. But if you move down here to South Carolina, it kind of stops right there on our border. So not really too much for us. And if you even go into tomorrow, but look at this, even tomorrow, which maybe it's talking about the high risk. Yeah, that's what they're talking about. So we have a moderate risk of rip currents for tomorrow throughout the state of South Carolina, throughout the coastal area. So rip currents could definitely be a concern tomorrow. But it really starts to get bad once you get all the way, like it said, from North Carolina up all the way towards New York City. And then it also talks about with Atlantic Canada, but again, that will be later next week probably, once it continues to make its way up to the north and east. But for now, moderate risk of rip current for us tomorrow. That's it for Gabrielle, though. Nothing else really for me to talk about. But then we have this area right here. This is the same area that we've been watching for. A tropical wave over the eastern Atlantic is producing disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity well west to southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Although development is unlikely during the next couple of days, environmental conditions should gradually become more favorable for slow development of this disturbance by the middle to latter part of next week, while it moves west-northwest to northwest across the central Atlantic. So this has a 0% chance of forming over the next 48 hours and a 20% over the next 7 days. So this has not changed. It's still the same. Still has a 0% over the next 48 hours. Still has a 20% over the next 7 days. Nothing has changed at all. And last time we looked at the ensembles for this thing, we saw that the Euro was trying to catch more on with it. But it did indeed still kind of cut off. Didn't really get too close to South Carolina at that time. Now, the one for tonight. Here's the one for tonight. You can see there goes the low pressures moving on, and they still take that curve. But then you have a couple that kind of move its way to the west a little bit more. And this is what we are really watching for. When will it take that curve? That's been the game for all of these systems that have come through. It happened with Aaron. It happened with, I can't remember the other name of the other one right now. I have no idea why. Well, I mean, it's happening with Gabrielle right now. And then most other ones have just curved out to sea. But then you always have these outliers that just go a little bit further west, and you can see how it kind of moves its way more west. And this one, I will say, this model run that we're seeing right here actually is a lot more consistent. It has a lot more runs that actually go more and more to the west by time you get to, I mean, this right now is around 132 hours out from now. If you go back to like the past couple of days and we go in and look at the European model, it was not showing this much. And so it was not showing this much activity, was not showing this much model runs throughout this time frame. So it's on the uptrend. It's on the uptrend. But this is just the euro. That's just the euro. What about the GEFS? The GEFS is another story. And if you go ahead and push this forward even more, the GEFS completely dies. It dies. And it's really interesting to say the least, because this was the one that was actually showing the most activity with this storm system. And the euro was like, I don't think it's going to happen. The GEFS was like, yeah, I think it's going to happen. It seems like those two have flipped. And now the GEFS is now saying, well, I don't think it will happen, when the euro is saying, yes, it could potentially happen. It could potentially form into a tropical storm, could potentially form into a hurricane. That's what I mean by it can happen. But again, you're not seeing anything get too close to South Carolina. I mean, you see a couple, but I'm looking at a lot of low pressure that forms. I mean, this obviously is not an area that they're talking about yet, but I'm seeing a lot of low pressures form over here just to the north of like Puerto Rico, for example, and tries to move its way over towards South Carolina. But then the one back here, obviously, just like I said, dies out. Just completely dies. So it's very weird, very different, very different. If you go over towards the area that we were just looking at here on the actual GFS, and this is again just one model run, but just interesting to look at. This one right here is Gabrielle. You see Gabrielle, you see how like far west Gabrielle tries to get? Because Bermuda is right there. It says that it's going to go a little bit further west than it might potentially be. But then Gabrielle moves its way out, still nothing for us. Still nothing for us, not going to impact us. But there goes this one area right here, and that obviously comes from the area that we are talking about now, the yellow area with the 20% chance of development. That moves its way up, and it gets relatively close. This would definitely cause us some high surf. This would definitely cause us some rip currents, but this is for, obviously, around 162 hours out. This is September 27th. That is 7 days out in a week's time. So we're out of that 10-day range. We're now 7 days in. So this is something that we might have to watch for. Now, the previous model run before that had it a lot weaker. And so we weren't really paying too much attention to it maybe around like 6 hours ago. But now that it kind of had like a little bit of a resurgence in terms of strength, now it might have to be something that we might have to look for. Again, it may be just in terms of rip currents or surf or anything like that. It might not do anything to us in terms of wind or rainfall wise. I mean, it actually might. Well, you can kind of see there goes the actual cold front, which is also something that I probably should mention, is at the same time while this cold front is passing us over here inside of South Carolina, this hurricane or tropical storm over here that could potentially be happening on September 27th, just to our east, which would also be the same day that Helene occurred and hit South Carolina as well. But we'll talk about that another day. This cold front could potentially be the reason why this storm right here is not really going too much further west. Because obviously this cold front could push it away from us, and that would potentially cause us to not get this storm. And so if this cold front aligns right, and it's as strong as modeled, this might not even be a concern. This might not even have to be a concern. Right now, I'm still saying that we still have to be aware for it, but this cold front could potentially be in the saving grace and actually push it away from us. So, but we'll continue to watch. We will continue to watch for this. But I've said enough on the tropics. I'm done with that for now. Let's go on and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off first, my Nana says, hello, Jay. Hello to you. Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Hope your day was good. Had some thunderstorms here today, much needed. He's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. First off, good evening to you. Hopefully your day was great as well. Thunderstorm at my house as well. And then definitely was much needed rainfall. He said, well, I guess you can blame me for the rain. I did wash my truck. Well, even if it was somehow you're doing, I still definitely enjoy the rainfall because if you remember what the drought monitor looks like, it's definitely dry. You have the yellow areas, that's the abnormally dry. The tan areas, that's the D1 drought, meaning that there is a drought ongoing. And so that storm that definitely did push through, went through the Tri-County area, definitely was beneficial. Definitely was beneficial, for sure. Going back to the audience, though, he also says, please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. He's absolutely correct. We've had 22 people tune in tonight. 22. That's 10 times 2 plus 2. And we only have 7 likes. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. We've had so far, again, 22 people tuning in, only 7 likes. So if you are a part of that 15 that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. It's free. You can change your mind at any time. My Aunt Shirley says, good evening to all. Wishing all blessings. Thank you so much for that. Good evening to you. Trail says, greetings, everyone. Nice day here. Glad to hear it. Greetings to you. And then my cousin Cheryl comes in and says, good evening, weatherman. I'm at work, but I'm listening. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend and be blessed on purpose. Love you all, Cheryl. Thank you so much for that comment as well. Thank you for listening to us while you are at work. And hopefully you have a wonderful weekend as well. But so far, that is all that we have. That is all that we have in terms of the audience for tonight. So, now that that is out of the way, I'm going to move over to this screen real quick so I can do something on this screen. But now it's time to talk about the 3 locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, what in the world are you talking about? I'm talking about, obviously, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then also Duncan, Oklahoma. If you have no idea why we talk about those regions, it's because we have people. We have people from those locations who watch pretty much close to nightly, if not some days nightly. And so that's why we talk about those locations, to show my appreciation for them for coming on, even though it's not even their state that they live in. But starting off first, we have Raleigh, North Carolina. You have low temperatures tonight at 64, high temperatures tomorrow at 84, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 61. No precipitation is expected tonight or tomorrow, or even tomorrow night, but areas of fog are possible tomorrow morning. It is possible. Now, what's going on in terms of severe weather? Right now, it is looking like there is no threat for any sort of excessive rainfall. Probably excessive rainfall, but for severe weather, I meant. And what about excessive rainfall? Looks like right now, no, there is no threat for any sort of excessive rainfall either. So you're good there. Philadelphia being the next one with low temperatures tonight at 59, high temperatures tomorrow at 74, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 55. No precipitation is expected. Again, that is no precipitation is expected at this time. And then now for severe weather, no severe weather is expected. Again, no severe weather is expected. As you move through the next 5 days, what about excessive rainfall as you move through day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and day 5? There is indeed no risk for any sort of excessive rainfall either. So we're 2-0 right now. We are 2-0 right now. So we'll see what happens as we move throughout Duncan, see if Duncan can stay the same. Let's go on and look at that now. With Duncan, low temperature tonight at 67, high temperature tomorrow at 87, and low temperature tomorrow night at 69. There is a chance of thunderstorms tonight and tomorrow night as well. So definitely going to be a potential for thunderstorms as you move through the next 24 to 36 hours or so. So definitely going to be maybe not as nice as the other two. But what about severe weather? Unfortunately, I think that Duncan broke our streak because now there actually is a chance for some damaging winds and some damaging hail tonight. It's a low risk, but it's possible. Only a 5%. And then actually, On Monday, you have a marginal risk of severe weather as well, but you're right there on the border of that slight risk. So if it moves over to the east just a little bit, you'll be under a slight risk of severe weather, which will be a bit more of a bigger deal than just a marginal risk. What about excessive rainfall? Tonight you have a chance for some isolated flash flooding. Tomorrow you have a chance for some isolated flash flooding. And then that's it after that. So tonight and tomorrow, isolated flash flooding is possible if it has not occurred already. What's going on throughout the entire U.S.? Tropical moisture continues to flow across portions of the Great Basin, desert Southwest, and California. Isolated instances of flash flooding remain possible. Meanwhile, a storm and associated frontal boundary will focus shower and thunderstorms for the center of the nation. For New England, dry and breathing conditions could enhance favorable fire weather conditions. Also, freezing is expected throughout Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and New York. And northern New York, I should probably say. Northern New York, as you're going to have temperatures down. I mean, right now it looks like it's down into like around 35-ish, somewhere right like that. But there most likely will be some other areas that probably will get down to that 32-degree mark. If I go to the very northern part of Maine, temperature, down to 30. And frost is also going to be a concern as well, not only just for the northern areas, but potentially even some southern areas, like pretty much most of the state of Vermont, most of the state of New Hampshire and Maine, and then even a lot of New York potentially could receive some frost as well as you move through tonight. So they're already receiving their temperatures down to the 30s for now. And so that is it in terms of what's going on throughout the entire U.S. Let's see the chat and the top fans real quick. My Aunt Lula comes into the chat and says, good evening, everyone. Had a hot day here in Georgetown. It would be great to get some rain. I'm watering my garden every day. Well, we just got some rainfall today over here in the Tri-County area. I'm guessing Georgetown did not get any rainfall. So, unfortunate. You definitely do need the rainfall, though. I definitely agree. You definitely do need the rainfall. It definitely would be nice to get some rainfall. I've been needing to water my plant as well. And actually, I think I let it sit outside a bit too long. It actually did lose some flowers on it, which is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I was going to get a picture of it to show it thriving again, but then it just decided to go on and lose its flowers. So that was very unfortunate. That was very unfortunate. All my fault. Take all the blame for that. But I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get it back. But that's all that I have for tonight. Top fans for tonight before I go on and forget to do that. Mr. Chris is at number 1, Trails at number 2, and then my Aunt Lula is at number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans for tonight. That is it there. Let me check out my email as well before I go on and leave to see if I have any other pictures. If not, we will be out of here for tonight. So far as I can see right now, I do not see anything right now in my email except for just something that I had sent to it. But other than that, that's it. So hopefully everyone has a fantastic rest of their Saturday. I will be back tomorrow for your Sunday evening forecast update. Please, please, please be here tomorrow night. If you have been, paying attention to the end part, Hurricane Hugo recap is tomorrow night. I've been waiting for that for all week, pretty much all week, and now it is finally time for it to happen. So it will happen tomorrow night. I asked if you guys had any stories, any sort of short stories. It doesn't have to be like a 5-paragraph long essay or anything like that, but anything that you wanted to share about your experience if you did live through the storm. If you know somebody that went through that storm, go on and share it with us. If you want to, obviously you don't have to, just voluntary. But then my recap, I'm just going to be talking about it. We might look at like some photos or just something like that just to recap it. But that's all that I have. We'll be back tomorrow morning for your Sunday morning forecast update. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Saturday, and make sure that you hit those 2 buttons before you leave for tonight.